The Town of Danvers meeting on June, what is the date today? 26th?
Yes.
2025 at 6 p.m. I always forget. Do we have to motion to start? Get a
I
motion?
don't think so.
I don't
think
think
we
so.
just start the meeting.
All right, we're starting the meeting. Hey Karen, hey Mara. Can you hear us and see us okay?
I can't hear you. Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, awesome. Just let me know if I move away from the mic or something. You need me to move it, okay? All right, so minutes approval. I just got the minutes from Christy, so we're not going to bother with that. Plus, I don't really know what to do with them, to be honest with you. I know Jasmine was posting them somewhere, but I don't really have access to where she was posting them. So I think that's something we'll talk to maybe Gardner about, or whoever becomes our liaison.
Yeah. Right.
All right, next we have public comment. Looks like there is no one here from the public. Nope, okay. So next is the ADA SETP survey answers. So I know we did kind of like a soft launch of this sort of, and we did get a couple bites from that very short launch. I don't know if any of you were able to kind of take a look at some of them, but there were some interesting things that people were saying about some of the schools and stuff. So I thought that would be really cool. I was going to kind of compile those to kind of put that together as something to present with the town manager meeting on Monday. Just as kind of another point of let us have access to this account, let us know how much is in it. We want to not hinder that. We want to support it. We want accessibility. We want that money to go towards accessibility. So whatever we can do to facilitate that without gumming up the gears is really what we want to do. And we want to make sure that money's going towards the right accessibility stuff, not something that's kind of determined outside of our sphere, or the sphere of the voices of the people who actually are going to benefit from it. So
Away from you, so what's happening?
maybe.
Yeah, it was a little echoey. It started to get a little echoey.
Yeah, it did. Okay, it seems like it calmed down. Nice. So, any thoughts on the answers? Katrina, could you actually pull them up on my phone real quick? I just wanted to go over one of them. I don't know if any of you have access to them on your computer, could pull them up. Hey Siri, open Drive. I think I have some right here. Swipe left.
There's some type of a hum in the background
Yeah, we heard that. We were moving
of
the
what I'm
mics around.
hearing. And if that keeps up, I will probably have to sign off because the voices go straight to my hearing aid.
Totally.
And so it's just, I can't hear much over the hum.
Any,
Part of it is that I'm Bluetooth in, but I don't hear it right now.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, let me know if it changes, okay?
Okay.
I'm just gonna pull up a couple of these answers. Swipe left. Swipe left. Swipe left. Okay. Zoom out. This thing is awful for viewing on phone.
Do you want me to help you?
Yeah, will you just help me?
I'm
turn my
looking
phone
at it
sideways?
from my end too.
Yeah. Take up my phone and just turn it sideways for me so I can kind of read a little bit of these just so. Oh yeah, so the Danvers Rec program, that was one of them. And then, oh yeah, this one I brought up before actually when I did the library audit, was the children's play area at the bottom of the library, how it has stairs kind of into that lower play area. And can you go just?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Taking my grandson there, that is a huge deal. I never really thought about that, so I'm glad somebody did point that out.
Yeah, and I did an audit for them a while ago, so that would be something worth kind of. I'll check in with them because I think Shulpa still works there, and she's been a great contact there for us. After school options. So it was really just kind of about the rec programs. And what was the first thing I said? No,
About
right before that.
Danvers Recreation.
Go back.
Yeah.
And then it was also talking about the play areas at the library.
Yeah.
And
Was that it?
it talked about sidewalks and the mall,
In the mall.
which
Which
we don't have
yeah,
control
we don't
over
have-
at all.
Yeah, that was always really confusing to me.
So I can speak a little bit to the mall piece of it. So the road, the access road around the mall, which is historically pothole ridden,
Oh yeah.
we'll call it. There are some pieces of it that are being redone, right? Especially as the new build that's happening in the intersection by Endicott Street, like that section of it is kind of being taken care of. They've been doing that piece of it, and then down the other end toward like the other road. I think it's Constitution Lane. Maybe
Yes.
over that also goes to Endicott Street. There was some
Yeah.
action happening over there. The tricky thing about the mall is it's not a road that the town owns. There's a piece that kind of goes into the mall, like toward that direction, that the town has kind of taken over. But that access road all throughout is not. And each individual, think like big box storefront,
Yeah.
owns a piece of it. So it's
Oh,
not like
okay.
the facility, like it's not like Simon owns the whole access road. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
the Staples people own
okay.
this piece, the Target people own this piece, and I don't actually know if those are
Right.
the actual owners, but they're each individual piece of it is owned by a different store, so it makes the management of it really challenging.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So-
How did you learn that?
Because I was trying to get in touch with somebody after I got a flat tire.
Oh.
And so through personal experience, I learned that. And then I was actually talking to my father about it because he had been, he had the contract to work at the mall as the electrician for, a very, 30-something years or something.
Oh, wow.
And so I was talking to him about it, and he was like, oh, that road, it's this, that, and the other. And the manager of the mall actually explained the whole thing to me because I ended up having to call a business that was like, we isolated where it happened, and it was like I was calling Florida to some place, and it didn't help me, but I tried.
Hey, well that counts for something, I guess.
I put in the effort.
And it's your education about it is coming in handy now.
Yeah. So,
So
I know
that-
many other people have lost
so maybe the mall-
tires and things there.
Yeah.
The mall park
No,
could
it's a-
kind
It's been a big thing in the Danvers chat too. It comes up a
Oh,
lot. It
really?
would be nice if people knew that because I don't think people understand that it's not.
Yeah.
Danvers.
Can everybody hear her
Yeah,
when she
sorry.
speaks? Sorry.
I didn't want to point.
It's one of my
names at you.
peeves. That's why I'm asking.
So I guess the mall is kind of on the back burner. But as far as the other stuff they talked about, who is in charge of the rec programs here?
So the knowledge that I learned actually very, very recently, I saw it in an email. I don't know if Mara, you saw that email as well that came out from Julie, because we are going to be participating in the Apple program that's coming up. And so there was just a quick piece that talked about contacts and whatever, and there was a mention of, hey, I heard that, Danvers Rec had hired an inclusion specialist, and should that person be included in this process? So that's the only piece of knowledge that I have about it, but I thought that was really good and hopeful. Because, our family should be able to access Danvers Recreation.
Oh yeah.
And so, hopefully an inclusion specialist, which a lot of the, after-school childcare centers and, I think of like the YMCA's, for example, the Y of the North Shore, for example, have hired inclusion specialists to be able to support the children that they have in their care.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's really great.
So do we have a contact information for this person?
So I know like the person who's in charge of Danvers Rec is David Mountain.
Okay.
And so he is the person, but I don't know who the inclusion specialist is.
So it'd be good, I could send an invite to the inclusion specialist to come to one of our meetings,
Yeah.
just so we can kind of be
Yep.
all on the same page, because I feel like that's kind of right, aligned with us, and we can kind of funnel some of the info we get from these surveys to them.
Yeah.
And we can also help them workshop if they need help
Yeah.
with anything. And then the library one, that's kind of a no-brainer. And I did do that audit, like I said. That will be something to discuss how those funds will be, utilized that come from the handicap parking violations. I don't know, because the library is a town entity, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be a good one for that. And those will be, because what I want to have, basically, we'll get to this in a little bit, but is kind of a sheet of sort of objectives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have like our mission statement, and obviously I'm going to be bringing that, but maybe just a couple tangible things like these survey answers, which would kind of be nice and would kind of be a good way to lubricate the gears as far as getting them to promote this survey as well,
Yeah.
so that we can kind of have a full plan laid out. All right. Any other questions about the survey answers or comments?
No, I think that I like that we have a few things. I think it would be really helpful, after this discussion, to maybe launch it, and maybe, maybe the town would be really interested in kind of pushing that out as well, to gather more information. So.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're banking a lot on this meeting, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of people there, so I think it'll be very fruitful for us, I hope.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, moving on, we've got the Disability Pride Month post. I was going to be bringing, this traffic really messed up everything for me as far as what I was going to be bringing, but Christy did send me some good stuff. I sent out that post before. We'll probably lead with something like that and just do a couple things. There was something else she sent me. I just don't really have it in front of me. But that's something I'll just send out to all of you once I just kind of like organize it into like an email for just like resources for us. But we've got, when does July start? Monday or something? Tuesday?
Tuesday. I think Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
Tuesday.
So maybe we do something to kick that off. I don't know if any of you have any specific thoughts about any posts or content we want to share for this, or anything we want to kind of champion,
There had been something that I had found. I had been kicking around this idea, and I actually mentioned it through my work as well, as like something that had generated in my brain. I mentioned it to Mara as well, around the idea of like celebrating Section 504, because it is the anniversary, and in July comes the date that it was actually signed into law. And so I'm going to pull it up right now, but I had seen something.
I think it's the 35th anniversary also of
Yes,
the ADA,
and so
right?
it was like, hold on, let me gather my brain for a second. I feel like I'm talking in turns. But I had pulled up something that was something that I just happened upon. I have no signal in here, so it's not helpful. Come on. It was like a fact sheet of like ADA for the 35th anniversary. And that 35th anniversary is actually on July 26th,
Oh, okay, great.
Great.
which is kind of cool. So I thought maybe like coinciding, like maybe something on that date. Like
Yeah.
if we were going to do something, maybe we do something about ADA. I said Section 504, but I meant ADA.
Yeah.
On July 26th. And there was like, it was like a Facebook type situation that I saw, but it was linked to ADA's national network, and it talked about ADA in general, who's protected by it, and like, you know, what provisions does it provide, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great. Would you mind sharing
that's
that
good.
with us?
Sure.
And we can I can put some together too. I mean, as far as the 26th, and as far as the post too, now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, who's going to post these? I guess like Jen Breaker for the town.
Yeah.
You know,
So I think that would
really
be something to bring up too, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
at that meeting that you're having with Jill Cahill.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You just write that down for me, Lauren. Just write.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So, disability
Just
pride posts.
Yeah.
And maybe the library and rec programs. Was there anything else we were
I had
talking about?
mentioned to her, because I met her briefly at a couple different events, and I had met her before, but.
You talking about
the-
Jill?
Yeah, I'm talking about Jill Cahill. So I met her at the Pride flag raising, was the first time I met her, and, you know, she was lovely and great, and just very welcoming, which was really lovely. And then I saw her at the lawn celebration after the flag raising at Town Hall for Pride, and so I introduced her to my work colleagues because I had met her before, and then she was, you know, she had mentioned to us that she was going to be doing community roundtables, which they'll be sharing information about, and so some of the you know, it was kind of like focused on different topics that she's going to, I think it's like Thursdays throughout the summer.
Okay.
And so she had asked about like accessibility in terms of like where to host the meetings and things like that. I think they're putting together a schedule to have, you know, those meetings. But one of the things that we were talking about was accessibility in general and like things that we can do. And I mentioned like briefly, since we were standing on the library lawn, like wouldn't it be lovely if all these events that we host on the library lawn could actually be accessible?
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it be lovely if, you know, by the bandstand there was actually like a patio or something
Right.
so that people could enjoy the things that happen there, because it is not accessible
No, not
at
at
this
all.
time.
No.
It's very,
and the
like-
lawn, and
yeah.
you know, the lawn is just
Very
not-
lumpy and,
yeah,
like,
it's
full of
not-
knots and
It's
roots.
just not,
Yeah.
you know.
So,
Awesome.
so that was like one little thing that I had mentioned, like, because we were hosting an event on the lawn that
Right.
not everybody could attend.
Yeah.
So, it just felt like pertinent that I would. bring
Yeah,
that
because
up.
it's not even, like, you could attend and then you just kind of feel like you're stuck in spots because it's such a pain to move around. So it is very important, I think, to have some kind of change to whatever that is, especially since we use it so much.
I think about like the concerts that they have on the lawn
Oh, yeah.
and things like that, and I'm like, well, I mean, people can come but there's that piece of like accessibility, you know, or like being in a wheelchair is like one piece of it, but even, you know, some of our elderly people that have a rollator, or they have a cane, or like just it makes it much more challenging. So it made
way
me think
more.
about, you know, or something I've been thinking about for a long time.
Well,
But
it's dangerous, you
Yeah.
know, honestly, for elderly people, you know.
Will you put that on there
Yeah.
as well, Lauren? Because that would be a good one
Yeah,
to bring up to them as well. The library lawn.
Lawn, yeah.
I know we've talked about this before, but
Yeah,
I just
for
feel
sure.
like we didn't have a good direct line before, so maybe
No,
this
no.
would be better now.
The other thing that she mentioned too, because I was asking, you remember at our last meeting, we were talking about, do we have an accessibility plan?
Yeah.
And so I had mentioned, like, I don't know, like, we got this grant, we learned at our meeting, luckily, because, Cheryl from DPW was watching, that she was able to tell us, actually, this is what's happening. And I've
Right.
seen a lot of the activity with the sidewalks in the community, which has been really lovely. But, our question was, do we have a plan? What is the plan? And she
Right.
did mention that she believes that there is a plan, but, we don't have access
No.
to it, so, or we haven't had access to
As
it.
far as I understand, that plan is supposed to be public on a website,
Right.
on our town website.
Yeah,
And so if we in fact do, it needs to be accessible for people to
Right.
know that we have one and what it is.
yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
So it's not even like the question necessarily, if we do, why is it not posted?
yeah,
For someone in this community to be able to read from the town website.
Yep.
My guess is it's probably like some patchwork thing if it does exist from over the years, or it's like really outdated. So I think it's important that we bring this up at the meeting regardless.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes.
And I think one of the pieces that we've talked about in the past is just about, there's multiple layers of it, right? Because there's the DPW side of, pieces, and then there's kind of our side, and then what does that then look like with us liaising between each other? Like what does that collaborative piece look like?
Right.
So that we can support new buildings, new development, or
Oh,
even
absolutely.
projects going forward, so.
Because we don't want to like stand in the way. We don't want them to try and work around us because they think we're going to gum up the gears. That we want it to be we want to be facilitators. We want to help them. So
Right. But I don't even think, was it even on the town page? Like, I don't even think they talked about it. I don't even think people in town knew.
Yeah, I
You know
don't
what I
know.
mean?
I don't know.
yeah,
So I think we're going to be on a little bit of a path of discovery together,
Yeah.
which I think is exciting and a good opportunity. So
absolutely.
it's a nice reset.
All right. So moving on, we have crosswalk. So the crosswalk, they put one in. I haven't heard back. And that's something I'm going to be bringing up at the meeting because DPW will be there and everything.
Right.
And then Fawn was saying something, though, about how they said they were still planning on painting over it, even though they laid it in, which doesn't work with what I had proposed, but maybe that's some kind of option. It just seems weird that we would paint over it when it's just going to wear off super easily since it's such
Yeah.
a high traffic zone.
Right.
So that's something I'm kind of curious about, and I'll ask them about. The Art Association building, I don't know if she had reached out to him anymore, heard from him, but I could reach out to them as well, just to see what's going on with that. But again, that's maybe something that will be a little easier to talk about after this meeting because we'll have an idea about funds, and I'm not really sure where I think the Art Association building is. Or Art Society building, did we talk about this?
Yes.
It is a town building?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's another.
And that,
perfect
like,
one.
that piece of, programming that happens there, and how does everybody access that?
Yeah, if it's like something that's really promoting like community classes, community events, I feel like those are big targets for us, so the library lawn, the Art Society building, the
Yep.
bottom of the library, rec programs. So I think anything that falls in that kind of subcategory is a kind of like a big swing that we can kind of bring to that meeting to be like, hey, this is something we want to be involved in, something we want to see, updated. Cool. And yeah, Fawn's not here, so we don't really need to continue too much on that update. The meeting prep, we've been doing it this whole time,
Yeah.
so kind of move on from there. Seen and heard, I do have a new episode with another guy who's a quadriplegic with a spinal cord injury. It was very interesting. I just sent it to DCAT to be posted, so that'll go live. And I'll start posting clips from that. But it was a really interesting conversation. And he's a painter, which was really cool to see how he adapts to painting with oil paints using kind of like a, whatchamacallit, a brace, like a wrist brace that kind of holds it, and he braces it against his face and is able to do these beautiful, huge paintings where he just moves it around and just paints it upside down, whatever angle he needs to, so he doesn't have to reach too far. But that's pretty unique. That was a cool one. And I think that would be a cool one to show to, maybe not that one, because I feel like I want to do a follow-up with them that focuses a little more on the art. That could be cool to show to maybe share it with the art teacher over at the high school or something, to show to some of his students. Or some of the younger classes too, because we'll keep it clean. But yeah, any new business, any more thoughts on the meeting?
I had a couple things.
What?
Oh, go.
I was going to say, JD, when is the meeting?
It is this coming Monday.
Okay.
And I think if any of you feel
What
like
time is
attending,
it?
Yeah.
you're welcome to. I told Christy about it. I think we nailed down 1:30, but let me just double check. Hey Siri, open Google Calendar. Show grid.
And it's with the town manager?
Mondays.
Yeah, and DPW 25, tap 9. Yep, 1:30.
Here or?
That's a great question, actually. Show grid. Let me see what I wrote. Show grid. Tap 14. It might be a virtual meeting. I actually have no idea. I'll message her assistant to see. I feel like it's in person because I emailed Christy the details. They're just escaping me right now. But I'll
Yeah,
send,
if
You can just forward
If you
that
can share those
information.
would be
Yeah.
great.
yeah, absolutely.
Because
I'll
I
send,
think I might be able to do it.
okay,
Yeah, I should be
sweet.
able to.
But yeah, Monday 1:30 p.m.
Okay.
But I'll send that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I can. My son has an appointment in Boston, so. But
think-
if on the way back, I might be able to join if it's virtual.
Yeah, I mean, I think also we'll have a strong
good,
presence
yeah.
there.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Not that we wouldn't benefit from having you there, Amy. But
Yeah,
okay.
we would.
Any other thoughts on the meeting or anything in general? Any new business?
I do have a couple little things. One
Yeah.
of them is, I mentioned that Mara and I are going to be participating in the Apple project. I don't remember if I mentioned it last time. It is a project that is in collaboration between the school district. Did I mention this last time? I can't remember.
We've talked about the Apple thing a couple times,
Okay.
Right.
but I
But
don't remember.
So I can't remember exactly what Apple stands for, but it is something that the Federation does, which is previously known as the Federation for Children with Special Needs. And so they are going to be supporting the district community partners and families and the CPAC in town to be able to, it sounds like, come up with some sort of like strategic plan or action plan for improving outcomes for children and students on IEPs.
Oh, great.
Students with disabilities. So it kicked off earlier this week with, there's like weekly sessions all summer of like what they're calling a CPAC summer school to like learn all about CPAC. And then in the fall, the meetings will kick off with the core team. So there's reps from the school committee, there's Mara, myself, there's parents, and I'm trying to think. Just different people kind of on this
Awesome.
committee, which is kind of cool.
Is there anything we can do to kind of like promote it or support it or?
I think once we go through this process, there'll likely be action items that will come out of it, and I don't know if we'll be able to, support and collaborate in that way, but it sounds pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that somebody had mentioned to me, like a couple days ago or so, was that they had mentioned that they saw in like a neighboring town that there was a parent that had kind of spearheaded a project to be able to provide what they were calling sensory bags.
Okay.
In the police cruisers and then for emergency, first responders, to be able to support sensory needs and regulation for children, adults, whoever would need it, in terms of like being able to manage, something like having a first responder arrive at your house or, something along those lines. So they had asked me like, hey, I wonder if that's something the Accessibility Commission would be interested in, like getting information about or like trying to spearhead a project on.
That's actually
Yeah.
perfect because I had a great conversation with Neil about that when I had him on the show. And I was just talking to him because Katrina had shown me an article where it's like this blue envelope program. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yep.
Yeah, for like adults on the spectrum who are driving, and you'll have everything in that envelope, and that envelope is supposed to be a symbol to kind of trigger the officer to, not be aggressive, not be, maybe turn the lights off and
Be
the
more
sirens off.
responsive.
Like,
Yeah, right.
try not to overstimulate.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Wow.
Because that was a big pain point for Neil, and he really wanted to hammer that home. So I was trying to kind of get him to help me cross-promote something about that. But I feel like these kind of things could go hand in hand almost. It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
would be nice for the police department. And I could send, if we put together maybe a little document kind of talking about these, I could send a message over to Jamie at Jamie Lovell at the police department just to see if they've heard about it.
I think they are engaged with the Blue Envelope program.
They
I
are.
do know that, the Autism Support Center that's here in town has been long, like, supporting and collaborating and trying to get this off the ground so that, to support the families and things as well, like, to be a piece of advocacy through that, so.
Awesome.
I'm sure we could find some donors too for
Oh,
the
sure.
sensory bags.
Absolutely.
We can use the resources through the Autism Support Center.
Yeah, which would be lovely.
What kind of stuff would the bag contain?
So I think that, it would be variable, right? But some of it, think like some of it like fidgets and things like that maybe, but then
Yeah.
also maybe, some, simple like picture guidance, you're thinking about communication difficulties where
Yeah.
in an emergency situation, you might be somebody who is a verbal communicator, but you get that flood of,
Yeah.
adrenaline and suddenly your communication's inconsistent, things like that. So it could be, things of that support, maybe a timer, things to just support that communication. And just for like, this could be really stressful because, whatever's happening and hey, would this help calm you? I know that there's some, like sensory access pieces that everyone had put together, I think with Jasmine's help, like the library has a box and here at Town Hall there's a box, so maybe those are some things to kind of think about.
Yeah, those could be like models essentially.
Yeah.
So our community resource center has local employees in different geographic regions, and our local one, I think, put together the box for the library and maybe also for the town hall.
Yeah.
Wait, the Community Resource Center, what's that?
Which one? Which community resource center, Mara?
Through the ARC,
Okay.
We
Okay,
have-
that's what I thought.
yeah,
Oh, through
So
the
we have
family
a-
resource center.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's, different places we can go to think about what types of things we would want. Do we want to replicate the same thing that somebody's already done? Do we want to think a little bit more globally or broadly? Maybe there's something that, that people feel strongly about, oh, this should have been included or other, but maybe we could do some research on that.
Do we know?
Well, and the other
who-
thing is if we can,
No, you go for it, Karen.
I was just going to say is like some of the needs of the community we would potentially know through survey or through the elder services or through the schools, so we would know maybe how to target it best for our community. However, it's always good because that's always changing, who's coming into the community and who's leaving. So perhaps we get some samples of different communities around us and what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would be helpful.
And kind of the idea of this survey also is just kind of like a high,
Yeah.
so that when we do more surveys, they'll maybe be more used to seeing these from us, so that we can kind of have like a presence in the town through our continued information gathering. And then, do we have a contact over at the Autism Society or
The
support?
Autism Support Center?
Support
Yeah,
Center?
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Because they would
Yep.
be good people to partner with for this, and like maybe we just
Yeah.
support them instead of, I don't know, jumping ahead of them on it or something.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if there's some specific grant funding that's available for,
Right.
for this type of thing as
Yeah.
well. Or even, I don't know, Mara, if you know if this would fall into like Flutie funds or things like that. I don't know. Or if that's specifically for families.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the sort of parameters of the grants, but we have experts that do.
Yeah,
Cool.
so,
So we kind of have a plan of action for the meeting. But as far as the sensory bags and the blue envelope, that would be a cool thing for one of us to reach out to the Autism Support Center about, maybe connecting them with the Family Resource Center at the ARC.
it's all part of the ARC.
Oh, it is?
They're just different
They're
centers.
just different
Yeah.
parts.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
If there's a way to complicate it, JD, we do.
They'll walk across the hall.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah,
We can talk to them.
yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then, what was I feel like there was something else. We kind of have our action items for the upcoming meeting. I will send out the details for the meeting. Seniority, survey. Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Cool.
And then maybe Fawn will give us an update next time. If
Yeah.
I know, if she's heard anything.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's going to benefit also from just this meeting,
Yeah.
kind of having an idea of, how to tune more into some of the stuff of the town, because I think that was the struggle with dealing with the crosswalk and stuff, is we don't really have like an established relationship, or we're not really like that much of a recognized entity in the
Yeah.
town, it feels like right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can remedy that.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else for new business from anybody?
I'll keep talking.
I mean, bring it on. You got anything else, Amy?
There were two other things. One of them is a really exciting thing, and it's a work thing, but I'll mention it in the space because it impacts a lot of families in our community. That we just this week at the Northeast Arc, through Northeast Arc Early Intervention, families that are enrolled, we launched through the Northeast Arc a safe, how is it called? My brain's going blank on me right
I
now.
think I know what you're going to say, but I don't.
It's
know
the
about
swim
It's
program.
Safe Swim,
The
isn't
Safe
it?
Swim
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is it again? It's the swim program. So, the Safe Swim program. So, families that are enrolled that are 6 months of age or older in early intervention will have access to, through generosity of one of the donors through the Changing Lives initiative. Mara, you can help me here.
Yes.
With Stephen Rosenthal.
I was trying to see if I could find it on social media.
Like I don't have it in front of me. That's why I was like, I want to say the right
I
words.
know that it was posted on the CFCE.
So it's been shared pretty widely so far.
Yes.
But what it does is Stephen Rosenthal has, donated money and funds to be able to basically support families and water safety by providing and paying for a session of swim lessons for enrolled families at Northeast Arc EI, 6 months of age or older, up to age 3. And there's no cost for families to be in early intervention, which is really cool. And it's just another added benefit of being with the agency through Northeast Arc. So it's really cool. Really excited about it. So excited I can't find my words.
Yeah.
I feel like we need like almost like a town accessibility account to promote like these. Just 'cause
I know.
there's,
I feel like there's so many
much-
things out there.
Yeah.
That they just, right.
like to have like kind of like one point where a lot of them just get promoted.
Yeah.
Since there are a lot of different groups promoting their own things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if there's more that we could do even through the webpage. I don't know, but I feel the same way. Like I'm like I want to tell people about all of
I
these
know.
things, and we can share
And
them
I
here
don't-
at these meetings. But
And the thing is you share them, but sometimes they may forget, or, the date comes up and, then there's a conflict. But like if there was a central place for all of this for us, even us as members, to
Yeah.
refer to, it's a lot easier.
Oh,
Tim,
absolutely.
is it possible to get and we may have it, but maybe it's just not used as much, our own spot on the town website where we can drive people for information and
That was a good idea.
Yeah, because then, well, that's something we can talk about at the meeting
Yeah.
as well, because I don't know who runs the website. I don't know who we would talk to as far as that, but that's definitely a good idea, because we do have our page on the page, and I feel like we should pretty easily be able to put resources on there. At the very least, like, a calendar that we can update, or...
Right. But it would also give us more exposure. I think that's part of the problem, is we're sort of this behind the scenes group, but don't have that kind of, I don't want to say clout, but just visibility.
true.
That's a
Yeah.
better word.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like visibility is tough these days too. It's just like so much information that gets spread, so much that gets posted, that like if something that was posted a couple days ago gets buried, and
yeah.
That's why if we can put it all there and people know where to go to look for information.
Yeah. We can even have little like QR cards that we hand out that drive people right there,
That's a great idea.
That's actually a very good idea.
We just got to get the website.
Yeah.
I know. Well, and I think about the website, our town website. In addition, I don't know how accessible it is. Like I haven't done that sort of an audit, but there are standards, and I wonder if our website meets those standards for accessibility.
It doesn't, but
No.
but it's not like, it's not the worst, but it's not
No.
great either. And the standards have gotten like higher than they used to be, which is good. So I think if we have this QR code or something that just takes them directly to the page to kind of skip over all the navigating from the home page and stuff,
Right.
it'd be a much easier way for people to access it. And then we can share that with pretty much any posts we have them put up on our behalf.
Right.
One of the part of the image carousel could be that QR code or a link. Because if you've got the QR code on your phone, how do you scan it? With another phone. But, all right. Cool. You had one more thing, Amy? Or another thing, any more?
Just
things?
that, and the town power outage, I saw like some really nice posts on like some of the community Facebook pages, of just like how there were some people that, didn't have power for an extended period of time. Particularly, I'm thinking of like the elderly housing that's, on Rice Street, I believe. And it was just really nice to see how our town mobilized to be able to support them, to ensure that they were safe and that, you know, that they were cool during a heat wave. I know I had seen that somebody, mentioned that the housing authority was, you know, on top of it, that the, I'm having a hard time word finding today.
That's okay.
I saw one that the food bank was very helpful
Yes.
too.
Yes. Yeah.
In replacing food that people have lost, because they
Yep.
can't necessarily afford to just go get more food.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just additional information around, you know, people that, do have, you know, SNAP or things like that, that they're
Yeah.
able to, you know, provide documentation, and be able to get, you know, to
able
replace
to-
food, right?
right,
To be
yes,
able to
okay.
replace things that were lost,
Yeah.
which I think is helpful. And it just, you know, I commented on, you know, a couple of the threads just saying how I felt just so heartened and proud of the direction that our town is moving in, and, you know, just really how we're looking out for and supporting each other. And I think, you know, that's what makes this a great place to live in. And
Absolutely.
so I just wanted to shout out to everybody, and I thought it was really great.
Were there any posts about that on official town channels at all?
No.
So that would be something good, you know.
Yeah.
You got to promote these wins, you know. I think
Yeah.
a lot of negative stuff gets promoted, so it'd be
Exactly.
nice to kind of counteract with this.
Right. And there was some
negative stuff.
negativity.
Yes.
But, you
There
know,
always is.
but there always is, and the reality is, you know, I think we do need a plan for this, because I think with climate change, this is something that's gonna happen more and more often. I think
Oh, yeah.
that we're
Yeah.
gonna experience this. So I think, you know, I've lived here my whole life, and I've never lost power more than a couple hours, so I can't, you know, it was difficult. I'm not saying it was, but I think we're pretty lucky that we don't have.
Yeah, and
have
that's not like a
had-
weather, I mean, I guess
Right,
technically
and I
a
know you
weather,
can't.
but it's like an infrastructure-based
Yeah, right.
brownout, so it's a little different because, you know, who knows what's gonna happen, and those were serious temperatures.
Right, and the guys,
Mhm.
you know, the guys were working in that, who were fixing it, I mean, that was a lot
Yes.
for them
Oh, yeah.
too, you know, so.
And I
Yep.
just think the services we have are top notch here in
Yeah.
town, and I really want to, you know, thank everybody,
Yeah.
for just being the utmost professionals and supportive. And I don't know, I think that's what makes the difference, right? And as we say, there's always going to be that place of negativity that people
Right.
jump to.
Right.
But I just feel so strongly that there are so many of us that really see the good in each other and our community, and I just really want to nurture that
Yeah,
and
no, I agree.
put
Yeah,
it
and
out there.
I think the negative ones are fewer than it sounds like. I
Yeah.
think they can just be particularly
Mhm.
loud sometimes, you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
no.
Agreed.
It was mostly good.
Awesome. Anything else anybody wants to share, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Awesome. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, so our next meeting will be sometime next month, on the fourth Thursday of the month. I don't know what number day that is yet.
Let's see. It is the
I think it's like the
24th.
okay, 24.
Yep.
24th, okay. And I think that will be a very interesting meeting, because we'll have a lot of new information.
Yes.
Awesome, well, thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Take care.